This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
It's three-time Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion Keyshawn Johnson. I want to introduce you to my new show, All Facts, No Breaks. I'll be giving you the real reactions to the latest sports news and inviting guests in the sports and entertainment world to break it all down. Tune in and make sure you listen and subscribe on Spotify.
Brooks Running has a new shoe for you runners out there. Did you hear that? Better turn up your volume. In fact, turn it up to the max. Introducing the all-new Ghost Max. It's got all kinds of things to make your knees and ankles feel protected, like Max Cushion, Max Soft Landings with DNA Loft V2 foam, and Max Smooth Rides with their Glide Roll Rocker. Feel better on your run with Ghost Max. Learn more at brooksrunning.com.
Hey everybody, in today's episode, we're going to talk about tribes from an Age of Radio Twitter Spaces that I did, and really it's the importance of tribes. So enjoy. Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. I'm your host, Jeremy Quintanilla. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Make sure that you follow me across the socials at Age of Jeremy, except on Twitter. It's at Age of Jeremy Q. And then make sure you follow our amazing Age of Radio stuff on Twitter at Age of Radio and on Instagram at Age of Radioverse and on Facebook at Age of Radio. And so forth and so forth and so forth. And make sure that you check out the ageofradio.com website. Also, check out our YouTube channels. I have an Age of Jeremy YouTube channel, but we also have our 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel and our 3T Behind the Lens channel, which is all the fun stuff that we do behind the lens, along with business information and so forth and so forth. All right, so today we're going to be talking about something that is near and dear to my heart. It is tribes. And what do I mean by tribes? I mean the communities that we create, the people that we interact with, the people that we engage with. That's what's super, super important when you are building a business or trying to build relationships or just trying to build, I guess, tribes in this sense. And so I did this Twitter Spaces on our Age of Radio Twitter. I'm going to be spending a lot of more time doing more Twitter Spaces, trying to get in a groove. As with everything, sometimes the groove starts, sometimes the groove stops because of stuff. Then we got to get the groove going back. But we're trying to make it as consistent as possible. So make sure that you follow that Age of Radio account at Age of Radio on Twitter. So that being said, I'm going to get into this Twitter Spaces. It's myself, and then Joey comes up to talk. And if you're not familiar with Twitter Spaces, it's one of the best things that you can do to build your tribe, along with something like Clubhouse and LinkedIn Audio. Any one of those works. I just personally like Twitter. We'll probably be doing some of the other ones too, as we continue to build where our tribes hang out and how we interact with each other. But Joey comes up and he gives some insights in on this Twitter Spaces as well. And that's what's great about these types of audio places, is that you can have people come up and talk. So it's like they're interacting, and then you can take the audio and do what I did here and turn it into a podcast. That being said, the audio, when you get it over from Twitter, it's not the best audio. So the word of warning, there's probably a better way that we could record it as the Twitter Spaces is happening, because the audio is much better when that happens. Because afterwards you have to get it off of, you have to download it off of the Twitter archive and wait 24 hours and so forth and so forth. So trying to build a process for that so that when we do these spaces, we can get them out to everybody as much as possible. So without further ado, here is the Twitter Spaces.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. Joey, throw up a heart if you can hear me okay. Perfect. I'm going to get started here. Going to grab my, what am I going to grab? Oh, making sure my computer's turned on in case I need to look anything up. But essentially, welcome to another age of radio Twitter Spaces. I'm very, very happy that you are listening to this. And if you're not listening to it right now, or if you're listening to it and you are like, man, I don't really want to listen to this on Twitter, we are actually putting them on the Age of Jeremy podcast. So that's actually going to be coming out here soon. I had a few problems getting the data from the Twitter Spaces and then getting it to import correctly into my audio software. And so that's why the last Twitter Spaces hasn't been out yet. But I figured all that out. So we will be doing that very, very soon. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to just bring Joey up here to be able to speak with me for the time being if he wants anything to add or anything to say. And again, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I am the CEO and co-founder of Age of Radio. Age of Radio is a media company that focuses on products and services that help content creators build their audiences and tell their stories. And we started back in 2017, and our main service essentially right now is our podcast network, but we are working on a lot of other things. So it's our podcast network is free to join. We cover all of your hosting costs, and you get access to our licensed platform that we get from Spotify. It's called Megaphone, and then we also help grow your show by doing some ads for your show, cross advertising on each of the shows. We have over 100 shows and counting as of right now, and we are continuing to grow. If you're interested in that, you can hit me up one-off here on Twitter, or you can go on the Age of Radio website and sign up. We will be moving it over to a limited amount of people being able to join on a month while we organize and do some things. And please excuse me, my allergies. Maybe I shouldn't be doing these on Fridays because apparently my allergies every single Friday are freaking horrible. And so we are going to so like I was saying, if you join the network, we do cross advertising for you. We try to help you find sponsorships. We do some paid advertising for you, and we do some revenue splitting. From any of the money that we bring on, we get to keep a portion of it, and the rest of it we get to share with individuals. So our goal is to be the #1 media company in the world, and the #1 media company that helps and encourages indie creators. And so some of the other things that are a part of our ecosystem that you might be interested in is we do have a Facebook group. It's called Addicted to Podcasting, where in there we have about 460 members right now. If you have a podcast or you are a content creator, if you have a YouTube channel or whatever, what have you, you're able to go in there and advertise your stuff, share your stuff, and then audience members are able to interact, communicate, and find out about podcasting or YouTube creation if they're wanting to become a part of it. And we also do a show in there called Showcase, where anybody that is part of that Facebook group, Addicted to Podcasting, they're able to come on up into the showcase, and we do a conversation with them, and they're able to share their products and all the cool stuff that they have going on. And the last one that we did was actually yesterday, and it was with another podcast network called Rum Runners that actually used to be part of our podcast network, but they branched off into their own stuff. So I'm really excited and happy that they were able to do that. And so real quick here, before I continue, I'm just going to go ahead and share this here. Oh, don't want to lose this. All right. All right. And so sorry, I just wanted to tweet that out to hopefully we can get some people to get inside of this, and still working on how you advertise the spaces and how you grow them. But a lot of it's probably just as you do them, more people will find out about them, is what I'm guessing. Excuse me. And so inside of that platform that we have with Age of Radio, we do like Facebook advertising for your show, Google advertising. We're working on different avenues of doing the advertising for each of the shows. So we do that, and one of those ways that we want to help is by that Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group. So if you are a content creator, if you have a podcast, come on over into there, be a part of it, jump on the showcase, lean into the community, and you will be greatly rewarded, which is going to lead me into the segment. And then the last thing that we're doing to build the community is our Discord channel. If you are part of the Addicted Podcasting Facebook group, you can go through there and you can join our Discord channel, where we have all kinds of different topics, our Discord server, I should say, where we have all kinds of different topics where you can interact with people about true crime, about anime, about manga. If you're a podcast host on our network, you have access to, well, you will have access, we're working on it still. You'll have access to all the videos on how to use the Megaphone platform. You'll have access to do Twitter raids. We'll have access to sign up to do these Twitter spaces, all kinds of other stuff. So our goal is building the ability of the tribe, which is what I wanted to go over today. And again, Joe, if you, I gave you the speaking ability, I thought. You are more than welcome to come and speak whenever you want. I don't know if you're in a place where you can, but I do appreciate you listening. And if anybody else who eventually jumps on here while we're doing it, they're able to speak. And that's one of the great things about being on Faces. If you are currently listening to this as a podcast, is that you can come up and speak. You can kind of have like a group of people talk about stuff, do stuff together, talk to each other, ask questions, and it builds like this really cool environment to have a real conversation with people that are part of your tribe. And so that's what I want to talk about today is the importance of that valuation and providing for your tribe. So the first thing was that what a lot of people do when they're trying to become influencers or when they have a podcast, they think that just because they're putting out their podcast or they're doing the TikToks or doing the Instagram or they're doing something, people are going to just, come and migrate to them. And it's not always the case, because the thing is that you don't want to just, you have your product or your service or your podcast or your YouTube channel, but that's just the main content that you want to drive people to. And the way that you drive people to that is by providing them as much value as possible in other fashions. And so when you have, what I see a lot of the times in the podcast community, and I was very guilty of it, at the beginning, and if you don't know a little bit more about my backstory, essentially we have I own another company called 3T Warrior Academy. We have about 100,000 people, subscribers on one YouTube channel. We just are ramping up another YouTube channel that's got about 1,000 subscribers right now. We have a TikTok channel from our influencer, our content educator, who's my business partner, Coach JV. He has 1.2 million followers on TikTok. Our Warrior Academy one that we just started revamping has about 1,000 followers. We have on our 3T Warrior Academy on Instagram, we have 16,000 followers. CJV has about 45,000 followers on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. And then I have about 5,000 on Instagram, about 5,000 on TikTok. But the point is that the idea is that what happens is when you have a podcast or you have some type of content that you have, like your YouTube, right, your main content, what we tend to do is we always tend to advertise on all of these other platforms. So when we go and we just put on TikTok, we just do an advertisement, right? We say, this is what we have going on. This is what we have going on. And that's not and what I'm wanting to have this space is because I want to help people realize that that's not what you really want to be doing when you're trying to build that content. What you want to be doing is you have your main content, like your podcast, and you have your YouTube. And when you go and you do things on TikTok and you do things on Instagram, you want those things to have some other type of value that's in value added that gets them to look at you as like the main the value leader or the authority in that specific space or topic of what you're talking about. So you'll usually do things that are educational in those TikToks that tell people that this is what you're going to be doing. And if you like that I'm teaching you this, you might also like going over to my podcast or whatever it is, or YouTube, and listening to it there. And so a lot of the times we always find that we're just putting out or I find that from a lot of the people that I've talked to, we are just taking the stuff and we're putting it out into the world and as an advertisement, not providing any other value in those other content pieces. And so, like, for example, one of the things that I try to do, for example, because we do have like a financial business part or an educational business, and we teach people about finance in our 3T Academy, like a TikTok that I would do as an example would be, and then I'll let you talk, Joey. Excuse me. And is that I go and I step up into the TikTok, be like, hey, you know what? Here's the problem. How am I going to help, survive during the financial recession? What am I doing? Okay. And then, or economic recession. And then I provide the solve by what I'm doing, like I'm creating liquidity. I'm freeing up cash. I'm re-diversifying some of my stock portfolio and crypto portfolio for that. And then I'm also looking for other opportunities and solutions that are breaking down when the economy collapses, because if those solutions exist, then it gives me the opportunity to get into other business revenue streams. And so that's the value add that I add to the people that I have on my TikToks or my Instagrams. And that's one of the main things that you want to do. If you don't want it to be a place where you just advertise your podcast or you advertise your YouTube channel. Now you want to add those things in, like maybe pieces of your podcast, pieces of your YouTube channel, showing the new products and services you have come out. But you want there to be a value add there to show that you are an authority or you are a leader in whatever it is that you were talking about in your other main thing or in your main product or service. So Joey, go ahead. Um,
So I just wanted to add to something that you said a second ago about how and how you don't want it to continue to be a advertisement of your show or your content. So on TikTok, I set out to do something. I was testing it out a little bit, and I was doing that at first, just promoting my shows, promoting the things that I do, and I didn't really get much of anybody seeing anything, right? Until I actually did something that actually um, I gave the community something that they kind of wanted, right? So in my show, Wednesday Warriors, we talk about all kinds of geeky stuff in it, and it pertains to things that are fairly recent in the news, right? So up to date kind of stuff. So what I did was I took that kind of concept and I simplified it and I brought it down to like a 15-second thing. And so, okay, some of these topics that we're talking about on Wednesday Warriors, I would really love to go in deeper in that. So I kind of went on camera and I just talked about one thing in particular. This was back when we got news that James Gunn and what's his name, Batista, were going to stop doing any Guardians movies after this next one comes out, right? So basically, that's all I said was in my TikTok. I said, "Hey, they're gonna come out. They're not gonna be doing any movies anymore. What do you guys think?" Literally, most of the words I said. But what the thing was, I didn't put my face out there. I didn't put anything that had to do with my brand or my content. It was somebody else's content and things that people wanted to hear about, and maybe it's something that they didn't know about already. And that particular TikTok got like 77K views, and it continues to grow every day. And I think that's the key, right? I didn't do anything that had to do with. I kind of took what I was already doing with one of my shows, and I super simplified it. I took one piece of it and I put it over here on TikTok. Now I didn't put any of that content anywhere else, not in my show, not until the only place you can go to find it was TikTok. And then at the end of it, usually maybe put find my podcast, or I put some logos at the bottom. And but I made it. I did have some editing skills, video editing skills, so there was a little bit of production that went into it a little bit. So if you just kind of simplify what you're doing, know the market, know the social media market, like TikTok, anywhere from 7 to 15 seconds is best, because people's attention spans there, they tend to scroll really quick. So you want to keep everything that you say right up front and sweet and quick and to the point.
Yeah, absolutely, Joey. So that's a perfect example. And Joey also added the other thing that you tend to want to do in some of the is that you'll have like a call to action. So like at the end of the TikTok or the reel or whatever it is, you'll be like, okay, here, go over to this thing. And traditionally, usually, like if you look at Adobe and look at some of these larger companies that are very focused on content, or HubSpot or Hootsuite, and or Buffer, and some of the ideas of things that they say to do. One of those things is you do like every 4 posts or like a value add, and then on the fifth post you do a call to action ad, to it. And so what that does is it starts putting you as an authority leader. It's called like making yourself the authority of the thing that you're doing, and then that makes people want to come. And that doesn't mean that you have to be like a social media influencer to do this. You can do this for any type of brand. Even if you are a mechanic down the street, and you have a mechanic shop, you can do value add stuff on TikTok that drives people over to your shop, right? It's best if that product is somewhere in the webs, right? On a website or something that's global, or at least in the United States. And so that makes it easier to grow that. But you can see this in any type of business that's trying to grow, and people that are becoming authority in their specific space. And I'll tell you why you want to do that after I get through the next thing that you kind of want to focus on, instead of just going out there and just advertising. And the reason why this has been sitting heavy on me is because I have a lot of different Facebook groups. We have our 3T Warrior Academy Facebook group. There's an open one and there's a private one, I think. And then we have our Uncommon 1% group that we've just started to help business entrepreneurs kind of learn or how to become how to grow a business through like e-learning space, because you have a authority of something that you're really really good at, and then but people don't know how to turn that into a business, or how to turn that into a monetary to monetize it, right? So we help people monetize that in our free Uncommon 1% Facebook group. So you can go and check that out. There is a process. You have to meet certain criteria to become part of it, but you can go check that out. And then the third thing is because of my Addicted Podcasting Facebook group, a lot of the times I see these podcasts come in and all they do is they just advertise their podcast. What I'm trying to do is not saying that they can't do that. That's fine. But it's something that I'm starting to see. And that's one of the things that maybe will why their podcast isn't growing the way that they want, or their YouTube shows are growing the way that they want, because all that they're advertising is just listen to my show, watch my show, here's my podcast, here is this. And so what I'm hoping to accomplish for this is that you can understand the importance of building a tribe and become an authority, and then you can take that, you can walk away with it, and you can become that, and you'll see the very benefit. And I'll tell you what the greatest benefit of it all is in a second. So like the main thing is you have your product or your service. Most of it's for you. It's going to be podcasts and YouTube. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, Be Real, Facebook, Triller if you want, Twitter, all these places where you're going to go and you're going to add value to your audience, and then and lean into your audience and talk to them and communicate with them and be part of that community. And then one of the better things to do is to have a Facebook or a Discord where that community that has come together because of you, because of the stuff that you're providing on Instagram and YouTube, you have a place where your community can congregate. And that we use both the Facebook group and the Discord, but you can use either or. The reason why I think Facebook group is easier is because most people already have Facebook groups, right? And Discord's a little bit more difficult to use. You can do much more stuff in Discord. It's easier to play. It's not easier to play. You can play games in Facebook too, but you can do all other kinds of Discord because of the video servers, the audio servers. There's fun games that are made specifically for Discord. And one of our Discord for one of the businesses I own, Collecti Labs, they have, which is an NFT incubator project. They have like a meme game where they go and they see who can do the funnest memes, and then they give a prize. And then one of the other games that they play is a bot that's inside a Discord that like gives a picture and it points at something in the picture, and you have to guess what it is specifically that they're pointing at and what it means. And so that's a really really fun game that they play. And so you're able to play games and do stuff with Facebook groups. I'm just saying that I think Discord overall has a lot of better stuff because you can have different channels and you can have a lot better role clarity on certain things. But Facebook works really, really well because we have a Facebook group. And so what you do is you create some type of community where your people can congregate, and then you nurture them and you interact with them, and you provide even more value inside of that group. And then what it does is it makes you so much closer to the people that care about you, and those are the people that you want when you do say, hey, here's my podcast. So you nurtured these people from getting them from social media, getting them into some type of group, right? And then you just continue to nurture them and build relationships with them, and then you give them your podcast. They listen to the podcast. Those are the people that are more likely to go and sell or share your podcast and grow it. And then whenever there's a revenue, activating thing, then you can give it to the people of that group, and they're the ones that are more likely to buy it. They're more likely to be the ones that are going to be part of it because they've already bought in and trust you as an authority leader. So go ahead, Joey.
So you
Oh, Joey, I went to mute myself and I accidentally muted everyone. So go ahead and say what you were going to say again.
I'm here now. So what I think I hear you saying is, part of this Discord thing is a big piece of building your tribe or building your community, right? So, and that's what it's about, right? Going in there and interacting with people, playing, hanging out, being a part of who they are, right? You build that. That's how you build out your fan base, because like think about it. If you have a project, or like when you were kids and you in like grade school, you got those things where those fundraisers, and you had that fold out page, and you couldn't wait to get home to show your parents and be like, I really want to get these cool prizes, right? I have to sell this much of this product to be able to receive this, right? So what's the first thing you do? Your family members because your family members, whatever you do, they will back you up no matter what. As long as it's something, good, right? They will back you up. So that's kind of the same thing that you want to do with the community out there is create this close knit connection with your fan base or your listeners, because once you do that, you build this strong foundation that anything that you do, no matter what, even if it's something that they don't like, I have people in my family that don't like comics, but if I make a comic book, they're going to back it up just because it's me, right? So that's kind of what you want to build out when you are creating this. You want to engage, love the things that they're doing, be involved in in what they do. Obviously you don't have to go out and, get to know every single one of your listeners, but just go to wherever they are, right? And be part of those groups and communities and things of that nature. So you have to obviously know your fan base and know what you like, right? What they like, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's a perfect way how you explained it, and that's a really good analogy, and I think I'm going to use that. Is when you do have to go sell that stuff, you go to the people that you know and that trust you, and that you have or have been a part of their life or whatever the case is, and even if they don't like it, you're right, they're going to buy it because they like you, they love you, and that's how important the community, the tribe is, or the family is, or whatever you want to call it, and why it's so important to be there and add value to them. And it's difficult. Like, I'm not going to say it's easy. You have to spend time and dedication onto it. And that's why when people ask me about it, I was like, don't think about it just because at the end of the day, you can do an ask and get money, because you're going, if that's just the result, people are going to see if you're fake, one. Two, you're going to be fucking miserable doing it because you have to spend so much time there. Right. Like if I post a few times a week in Facebook, and I don't have a problem with that. If I try to in our Facebook groups and my Discords, I go in once a week or twice a week and I go and react and communicate with people and I have fun talking to them and I laugh about it. You can't look at it as like, oh, I have to freaking go and do this. Like, you want to be a part of this and do this because you have to build trust with people and you have to show them that, you are trustworthy. And so you don't want to be fake at it, right? Because people are going to see that and then they're not going to want to be a part of your community anyways, just like
right. And
in
then
people and family. So go ahead, Joey. Sorry.
and to top it up, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but you had a point there. Also, it's not about receiving the numbers or the likes or the downloads, right? Like, listen, my shows were probably one of the lowest rated shows on our network. I'm going to admit that right now, but my community was huge, and why I say that is because people who listened to my shows were mostly content creators, because it was interviews about the creative process and everybody's different ways that they do it, right? So creators are always looking for different ways and other things that they can help them out. So a lot of the times, my listeners were creators and not necessarily creators who followed me. So, which is awesome too, right? But that also means my numbers were low. But I never really cared about the numbers, and I think I always told you, Jeremy, I was like, numbers really don't matter to me. What matters to me is the community and the people that I'm engaging with, because if I'm there, eventually it will come back around and it will benefit me in the long run. And now we are now doing we've moved into the public real space. We have a big announcement coming up here, hopefully in the next couple of months, that we're going to be doing into another space in the comic book world. So, and I'm also in the process of writing one of my comic books. So we the key is, right, don't stop, build community, and don't let anybody get in your way. And that doesn't mean like push them out of the way, but if they like you know I've had a whole community of people try to cancel me or try to shut me down, and I just kept going. I never let it touch me or phase me, and it was because of the community that I built out. The real people, the real community, the real people who are always going to be there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is you don't on your main ship if you're a content creator on your main flagship products like the podcast or the YouTube, those or a video or whatever it is that sometimes you're not always going to get the numbers because it's better to have 2 engaged listeners than 10 listeners. It's better to have 20 engaged listeners than 200 listeners. It's better to have 200 engaged people than 2,000 people. And so the key between all of this is that you want to spend time nurturing and building the community of the people that you want, because if you do that and you do it for long enough, you then are able to, and this is the key behind all this, you're able to build such a big community that when you have 500 million followers or 2 million followers, you then have more of the capacity to influence an actual space. And then whatever you do essentially can almost turn to gold because you just announce something and people go and buy it. And so, for instance, if we're talking about, like, I'm going to use The Rock as an example. The Rock has been around building his brand and building his community following, and it might not be in the case where he has like a Facebook group and he's talking to people, right? But he probably, I'll be honest, he probably would have if he was into today's society when he was just starting out. Like Gary Vee has his Discord, I think. And so, but The Rock was, spent so much time as a wrestler, spent so much time um, building out content, spent so much time building his following, making sure that he was doing his movies. And the point is that you may not be The Rock and be in the movies and everything, but the point that I'm getting is at some point he got to so large with so many followers, he's so influential that he just puts out one thing or says he's part of one thing and that one thing blows up. Or Mr. Beast, we can also use Mr. Beast, nurturing his audience, building his audience, putting out value, adding value, and now he's just growing and growing and growing. And so when you do this, it takes time. It could take 5, 10, 15 years, but the sooner you start, the sooner you get to the end goal, right? And you become so large and you become such an influencer. And if you are really providing value, whether or not you think that's weird if people see you on the street or they meet you, if they're being, crazy people on the street or whatever, and people are stalking you, if it take, in my opinion, when I get that large for my own self, for Jeremy, and Age of Radio gets that large, is that if there are a few bad apples that come and there's a few crazies that are out there that do things, I'm willing to take that and do things about it, just because I'm not going to let something like that stop the value that I'm adding into the world. And I actually got this. There was another gentleman who said something similar to this. That was on that Alex Ramosi, who's an influencer in like the marketing and acquisition space, and acquisitions, I mean business acquisition space. He said in a podcast, and it really resonated with me because, like, yeah, we experience that at some point, or at least my business partner does, because he's the larger influencer. And it's just like, well, yeah, you have some of these bad instances that happen that, maybe people follow you, or, there's a few, weird instances where people, just kind of show up and unannounced, and, not that they're crazy or anything, but they're sometimes like annoyances. If that is the worst case scenario for you having such an impact on the world or adding so much value to the world, then you should take it. And that's the way that I look at it. So don't think that just because people are going to ask you for your pictures on the street, or if you get so large, and that's kind of a hindrance. So you just, if you were providing value, I would say, hey, just be okay with that, because the other stuff that you're doing is so beneficial that hopefully that other stuff doesn't matter. And that's the way that I look at it. But so that's the reason why you spend these 5 or 10 years adding all of this value after value after value. Like, I know that Gary Vaynerchuk had his dad had the wine store, and there might have been some benefit from that. But he would, in 2005 or 2006, when he started his YouTube channel and he talked about wine, yeah, he had an idea of the platform and what was beneficial, but he did it over and over and over and added value after value. No one had heard of him until maybe 2015 is when people really started hearing about him. 2017, and now he's just larger than life because he's been going and adding value after value after value. And every once in a while he'll sell a book. Every once in a while he's now doing his V-Friends, and he's doing this, hopefully providing value to the people that are following him. And I believe he is, or he wouldn't be this big, right? He's adding that value, and people are buying almost everything that comes along because he spent those 10 or 11 or 12 years just building the authority of him knowing about building businesses, caring about people, showing compassion for people. And now he gets to that place, and it gets so much easier. And that's really how you add value to your tribe, by not just going there and just giving them stuff to say, hey, go watch my podcast, go do this, go buy this, go do this. No, I'm going to teach you something. If I'm a comic book artist, right? Maybe one of the things to do is show people how to make comic books, or how the industry works, or all these other things. And you're sharing all of this value. And then when you have your comic book come out, hey guys, I have a comic book that's coming out here, go to this Kickstarter and do it. So that's how you kind of look at it. You really have to sit down and say, hey, what is it that I actually do? What are there things that I can teach people for free, at least in small segments, and then go and utilize that to build a community, to nurture these people, so that when I have some product or service that is available to them, I can do an ask for the buy, and most of them will buy. As Joey said it, like with you, when you have to sell like chocolate bars or wrapping paper for school, you go to your family members. You are building a really, really large family, and that is the key to adding value to your community, and that is the key to also getting to a place where you are looked at as an authority leader, and then you can do an ask and you can grow your business, and then free yourself from your job, or take that money and do philanthropy, or go and build another business, or whatever you want to do with it, right? But just always be focusing on building and nurturing that community. So Joey, I'm trying to keep these at about a half hour. So is there anything that you wanted to add, and then we'll close this out?
No, I think that's absolutely correct. You just building your tribe means being part of the community and being immersed in it, right? It's not necessarily about how many likes, follows, or downloads you get. It's about what you put into it is what you get out of it.
Hey Cody, I hope you're doing really well. We're actually going to be ending this space,
Cody,
but we were
what's up, dude?
talking about values and tribes. So make sure that you re-listen to this space. We, as a company, and as individuals, are getting better at utilizing Twitter Spaces. So there were some things we could have probably done differently to get people to come in here early, like invite them from the beginning and so forth. So we're going to do some things better. We'll probably do another Twitter Spaces next Friday if we can get it in. But usually we'll be doing these every other Friday. So you can re-listen to it on Twitter here, but we'll also be putting it out on my podcast, Age of Jeremy. And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, our community, our tribe, on our Facebook group, Addicted to Podcasting. And make sure, and again, we have a show in there called Showcase that's just for the people on the Addicted to Podcasting channel, where they can come up and share themselves. And we might be putting that out on Twitter as well. But the only access point that you have is from the Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group. Go ahead and check out all of our shows at ageofradio.org. Check out all of Joey's network shows at thegeekcollective.com. Is that right, Joey? It's geekcollective.net. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was .com or if it was .net. Okay, so geekcollective.net. And please engage, ask us questions here on the Twitter. And if you have a podcast and you want to get set up, reach out to myself. If it's more comic book related or movie review related or something along those lines, hit up Joey for the Geek Collective. That is a network that is a part of Age of Radio. And we appreciate everyone. And as I always say again, my name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You can check me out at Age of Jeremy on Instagram. And Joey, what are all your handles on Instagram and everywhere?
You can find me right here on Twitter at JoeyGavas1984, and you can find us every single day on YouTube if you do a search for Wednesday Warriors. I go live every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST with my partner Ambrosia, and we talk about all the geeky things from the week before that we love. We talk comic book pull lists and what we've been watching. We go through DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek news, and then almost every single episode I get ragged on because I hate the Goonies. So tune in. Oh, and also, I don't know where Jeremy went, but I will say this before we head out. If you guys are looking for comic book public relations, head on over to the geekcollective.net and offers some really cool services there. If you're a podcast host or a geeky host of a stream or a podcast that you are looking to bring over, hit me up. We also have a tab there for hosting. So head on over to geekcollective.net. We are a network, a sister network, or a network of Age of Radio. So every single thing that is offered on Age of Radio is offered with us as well. So head on over to ageofradio.org as well. Or did we change it to .com yet?
No, you can do. We bought ageofradio.com. I haven't switched it over yet. I was able to buy it off from the radio station that had it last year. But ageofradio.com leads you over to ageofradio.org. So either of them will work. I just haven't switched it over 100% because we've had so much going on. But so to that end, thank you guys so much again. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Age of Radio. You can find me again at all the socials at Age of Jeremy, and here on Twitter at Age of Jeremy Q. And you can find the other co-founder, my business partner CJV, on all of the Instagram and TikToks and everything at Coach JV _. And you can check out his podcast at Motivation Health and Life. So we'll talk to you guys later. Please listen to this, and again, this will be replayed hopefully on my Age of Jeremy podcast as well. So be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we will talk with you guys later. Bye.
All right, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, go ahead and like it and subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcatcher. And if your podcast app, which is also a podcatcher, allows you to rate this podcast, make sure to rate it so we can get it in front of as many people as possible. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I want to give a big shout out to the opening song that is Spanish Love Songs. Their song Brave Faces Everyone. Hopefully they give me approval to use that. If not, I guess we'll be sued later. And then the closing song is Illuminati Hotties, Threatening Each Other Re-Capitalism. I record on Neumann mics. I'm using a Zoom Corp sound board. And essentially that's the stuff that I use. So I hope that you go pick some of that up as well. Make sure to check me out at ageofjeremy.com and on all the socials at Age of Jeremy and on Twitter at Age of Jeremy Q. We'll talk to you soon. Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind. Bye.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.